Hey there, everybody. Welcome. We are in a series on lesser known people of the Bible, and today we have someone new to bring to your attention. His name is Ahithophel, and he was the counselor of King David, and then he switched sides during Absalom's rebellion against David. And so we're going to look at his life today, and we're going to explain what went wrong in the mind and heart of Ahithophel. We are going to largely be in the book of 2 Samuel, chapters 15, 16, and 17. Then we've got to jump around at the end to 23 and 11. So if you want to turn your Bibles with me, if you're able to do that, 2 Samuel, chapter number 15 for starters. So, and Absalom sent for Ahithophel the Gilonite from David's count. Let me start over. And Absalom sent for Ahithophel, the Gilonite, David's counselor from his city, even from Gilo, while he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom. So if you don't know the story of David and Absalom, I'm not going to get into it too in depth this morning, but David's son Absalom rebels against his father, I believe because David didn't handle the issue of his other son, Amnon, who took advantage and assaulted his half-sister Tamar, which was Absalom's full sister. David did nothing to Amnon, didn't sort that out or take care of it, and so Absalom in bitterness rebels against his father. So now Absalom's trying to steal the hearts of the people away from his father David, and he's having a great success at doing so. So again, verse number 12 of 2 Samuel 15 tells us Absalom sent for Ahithophel the Gilonite, David's counselor, from his city, even from Gilo, while he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom. So Absalom calls for Ahithophel. Ahithophel was one of David's key counselors. And we're going to see in just a minute just how spot on Ahithophel's advice and counsel was. So Absalom knows if he's going to get his father's kingdom, he needs to get some key men in place. And Absalom knows who to go after. And we're going to talk about that as we go through. I don't want to reveal it now because that would spoil the whole devotion here for you. So now let's skip down in chapter 15 to verse number 31. And one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. So let's lay this out. I want you to be able to follow step by step. David is the king of Israel. His son Absalom is trying to take the kingdom from him. He goes to his father David's counselor Ahithophel, and he steals him away from his father. Now someone lets David know that Ahithophel is siding with Absalom. So David prays, and he asks the Lord, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. Verse number 32. And it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mount where he worshipped God, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with his coat rent and earth upon his head. So David has one of his men show up, and his coat is rent, which means torn, and he's got earth on his head. So he's in mourning. He's sorrowful. Verse 33, unto whom David said, If thou passest on with me, then thou shalt be a burden unto me. But if thou return to the city, and say unto Absalom, I will be thy servant, O king, as I have been thy father's servant hitherto. So will I now also be thy servant. Then mayest thou for me defeat the counsel of Ahithophel. So because David knows that Ahithophel is with his son, he also knows how important and valuable Ahithophel's counsel is. He knows that he needs to spoil the counsel of Ahithophel. So here comes this guy Hushai, and he is broken up. that his King David is being run out of Jerusalem. He's rent his clothes, he's got earth on his head, he's mourning, and David says, "You know what? You're not going to do me any good like this. What I need you to do is I need you to go back to Jerusalem and tell Absalom that you're on his side now." And so Hushai is going to be this double agent for David. He's going to pretend to be on Absalom's side so that he can spoil the counsel of Ahithophel. Now we're going to go to chapter 16 and pick it up in verse number 15. So the next chapter 16 and verse number 15. "And Absalom and all the people, the men of Israel, came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him. And it came to pass, when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, was come unto Absalom, that Hushai said unto Absalom, God save the king, God save the king. And Absalom said to Hushai, Is this thy kindness to thy friend? Why wentest thou not with thy friend? And Hushai said unto Absalom, Nay, but whom the Lord and this people and all the men of Israel choose, his will I be, and with him will I abide. And again, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son? As I have served in thy father's presence, so will I be in thy presence. So everybody goes with Absalom to Jerusalem. All of the people who are betraying David, Absalom himself, Ahithophel is going with Absalom, and here comes Hushai. Hushai is obeying David, and he's playing the part of this double agent. And Absalom already smells something fishy. And he says to Hushai, wait a minute, what are you doing here? Why aren't you with your friend? Notice Absalom uses that word friend twice in talking to Hushai. Why wentest thou not with thy friend? Is this thy kindness to thy friend? And Hushai tells Absalom, no, you know what? Friendship only goes so far as what I see happening with this nation. And if the people and the Lord are putting you in place as our new king, my loyalty will shift from your father to you. And as I served your father, I will serve you. Now verse number 20. Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, Give counsel among you what we shall do. Now this is what Hushai is here for. Hushai is here to spoil the counsel of Ahithophel. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, verse 21, Go in unto thy father's concubines, which he hath left to keep the house. And all Israel shall hear that thou art abhorred of thy father. Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong. So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and Absalom went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. And the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of God. So was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. So Absalom asks Ahithophel. He thinks Hushai is on his side, and he goes to Ahithophel and says, what do I do next? Now, that last verse we read is key here. The counsel of Ahithophel was as if a man inquired at the oracle of God, meaning Ahithophel's counsel was as good as if God were telling you himself. Ahithophel is going to tell you exactly what you need to do. And it says on behalf of both David and Absalom. So Ahithophel's wisdom is toward each of these men exactly as their desires would be. And so the counsel of Ahithophel is spot on here, okay? So his counsel to Absalom, in order to thwart David's kingdom, is to take the concubines that David left behind in Jerusalem to take care of his house, was to put a tent on the top of the house and then sleep with all of David's concubines. Now, a concubine is something we don't fully understand in today's society and culture. The concubine was nearly a wife. Now, she didn't have all of the same privileges and rights as a wife, and she wouldn't have any part in inheritances and so forth. But the man took care of her as though he were his wife, and he enjoyed a relationship with her as though she was his wife. And so for Absalom to do this to David's concubines was the biggest slap in the face you could imagine. Not only is he doing it, he's doing it in front of everybody's eyes. He's got a tent up there, and I don't mean it was graphic in that way, but I mean everyone knows exactly what's going on. It's as though you decided to steal the heart of another man's wife away and then date her in public and for all the world to see with no shame, no remorse, no effort to even hide what you're doing. Only even worse than that, clearly. And so Ahithophel counsels Absalom to do this, and David does do it. Now we're going to pick it up in chapter 17, and we're going to read almost this whole chapter here. Moreover, Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue after David this night. Now this is weird, because Ahithophel's not a soldier. In fact, Ahithophel is an older man, some would say an old man. And he asks Absalom, who is a soldier, give me 12,000 men, and I'm going to chase David down and hunt him like a dog. And I will come upon him while he is weary and weak-handed, and will make him afraid. And all the people that are with him shall flee, and I will smite the king only. So Ahithophel is asking permission from Absalom to take 12,000 men, pursue David through the night, and when he finds him, and he says that he's going to be weak and weary, then he himself, Ahithophel, will kill David, and only David. He'll let all the rest of the people go. Now this is a strange request from a guy who's an advisor, a counselor. This is not the role that Ahithophel fulfills at all. But it's the role that he's asking Absalom for. Clearly, Ahithophel has an axe to grind with David, doesn't he? Clearly, this is personal with Ahithophel. Why could that be? Verse number 4. And the saying pleased Absalom well and all the elders of Israel. So Absalom signs on to this plan. He says, yeah, I'll do that for you. I'll give you 12,000 men. Go kill him. Then said Absalom, Call now Hushai the Archite also, and let us hear likewise what he saith. Now this is why Hushai is there. Hushai is there to tell Absalom that Ahithophel's counsel is bad. That's why David has Hushai here. So he's about ready to pull this double agent move on him. Verse number 6, And when Hushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spake unto him, saying, Ahithophel hath spoken after this manner. Shall we do after his saying? If not, speak thou. So Absalom wants a second opinion on Ahithophel's counsel, and he goes to Hushai for it. Now remember, why would Absalom call for Hushai? David prayed and asked the Lord to confound the counsel of Ahithophel. And that's what God is doing. God moved the heart of Absalom to call Hushai so that he could foil the counsel. And Hushai said, verse 7, unto Absalom, The counsel that Ahithophel hath given is not good at this time. For said Hushai, Thou knowest thy father and his men, that they be mighty men, and they be chafed in their minds, as a bear robbed of her whelps in the field, and thy father is a man of war, and will not lodge with the people. Behold, he is hid now in some pit or in some other place. And it will come to pass that some of them be overthrown at the first, that whosoever heareth it will say, There is a slaughter among the people that follow Absalom. And he also that is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion, shall utterly melt. For all Israel knoweth that thy father is a mighty man, and they which be with him are valiant men. So when Absalom says, What do you think of the counsel of Ahithophel? Hushai says, Don't do it. Don't do it. He says, my father's or your father is weak and weary, but your father's a man of war. He's not even with the people. You're going to send some folks after the group, but he's not there. The king's hiding in a pit or a cave somewhere. He's a man of war. He's smarter than this. And what's going to happen is David's men, as a chafed in their heart group, bear robbed of their whelps, they're going to come after your 12,000 and Ahithophel, and they're going to kill some of them. And when word gets back to Jerusalem that your people are being killed in pursuit of David, then their loyalty is going to abandon you. They're going to run from you, and they're going to abandon this cause. So, verse number 11, therefore I counsel that all Israel be generally gathered unto thee, from Dan even to Beersheba, as the sand that is by the sea for multitude, and that thou go to battle in thine own person. So shall we come upon him in some place where he shall be found, and we will light upon him as the dew falleth on the ground, and of him and of all the men that are with him there shall not be left so much as in one. Moreover, if he be gotten into a city, then shall all Israel bring ropes to that city, and we will draw it into the river until there be not one small stone found there. And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For the Lord had appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel, to the intent that the Lord might bring evil upon Absalom. So I want to make sure we understand that halfway through that verse, it was no longer Absalom speaking. So what is Hushai's counsel to Absalom? You go yourself, and you bring men with you, and we'll pursue your dad. You're a man of war, not like Ahithophel. You'll be able to sniff him out, and if he goes into a city, we'll pull down every wall of that city, and every stone of it we won't leave unturned trying to find your dad. And then, verse 14, Absalom and the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. And then, that's the end of the saying, and here's a statement of fact. For the Lord had appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel. Ahithophel's counsel was good, but God appointed to turn it. Why? To the intent that the Lord might bring evil upon Absalom. So God is defending his man David here, even against his own son. Now let's continue. Verse 15. Then said Hushai unto Zadok and to Abiathar the priests, thus and thus did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and the elders of Israel, and thus have I counseled. So these two priests here, Zadok and Abiathar, they're still on David's side. Hushai tells them what's going on. Now therefore send quickly and tell David, saying, lodge not this night in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily pass over, lest the king be swallowed up and all the people that are with him. Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz stayed by Enrogel, for they might not be seen to come into the city. And a wench went and told them, and they went and told King David. Nevertheless, a lad saw them and told Absalom. But they went both of them away quickly, and came to a man's house in Bahurim, which had a well in his court, whither they went down. And the woman took and spread a covering over the well's mouth, and spread ground corn thereon, and the thing was not known. And when Absalom's servants came to the woman to the house, they said, where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan? And the woman said unto them, they be gone over the brook of water. And when they had sought and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. And it came to pass, after they were departed, that they came up out of the well, and went and told King David, and said unto David, arise, and pass quickly over the water, for thus hath Ahithophel counseled against you. Then David arose, and all the people that were with him, and they passed over Jordan by the morning light. There lacked not one of them that was not gone over Jordan. So the plan worked. Getting Hushai, to, all these names are tough to keep track of sometimes. Getting Hushai to let Abiathar and Zadok know. Abiathar and Zadok are able to tell Jonathan and Ahimaaz, but then a little boy overheard Zadok and Abiathar tell Jonathan and Ahimaaz. So Jonathan and Ahimaaz have to hide. The little boy goes and tells Absalom. Absalom sends some men after him. He gets to they get to the woman who hid them, Jonathan and Ahimaaz, and she's able to distract them. And then she lets Jonathan and Ahimaaz out of the well they were hiding. They get to David. David is able to go a different direction so that he can avoid Absalom's oncoming attack. So, long story short, this is the simple this part of the story. Let's just recap it and summarize it. Ahithophel, David's counselor, turns against him, and he sides with Absalom. His counsel can be trusted as though it were the very word of God. He counsels Absalom perfectly to let him personally go and kill David. But David had prayed and asked God to thwart the counsel of Ahithophel. He sends his own man Hushai to serve as a double agent to trick Absalom into ignoring Ahithophel's counsel. And instead, Hushai gives him counsel to go himself. Then Hushai is able to get word to the priests, Zadok and Benaiah. Is that right? No, that's not right. Zadok and the other one, and Abiathar. And then they get word to Jonathan and Ahimaaz, who gets word to David, and he's able to escape. Now, what becomes of Ahithophel? He's our lesser-known person, after all. We're talking about a lot of people involved here, but Ahithophel's our story. Verse 23, and when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass and arose, and gat him to his house, to his city, and put his household in order, and hanged himself, and died, and was buried in the sepulchre of his father. Why? Why would Ahithophel do this? Is it because he's afraid that Absalom's going to come after him? What's going on here? First off, why does Ahithophel have such a grudge against King David? We saw that he turned on David. We saw that he asked Absalom if he could personally kill the king. And then when his opportunity to have done that is gone, he goes, he sets his estate in order, and then he takes his own life by hanging himself. What is going on in the heart of Ahithophel? Why did he do these things? Why did he behave this way? Why did he betray David? Why did he try to help Absalom kill him? Why did he want to kill David with his own hands? Well, let's look at two more verses. 2 Samuel chapter 23 and verse 34. Turn there if you can. Here's what 2 Samuel 23:34 says. This is genealogy. Eliphelet, the son of Ahashbai, the son of Maachathite, Eliam, the son of Ahithophel, the Gilonite. All right, so we don't need to worry about those first three guys. I really butchered those names, by the way. Eliphelet, that's probably how you say it, Eliphelet, and Ahasbai, I don't know. Doesn't matter. But look at the end. Eliam, the son of Ahithophel, the Gilonite. All right? Now, so remember, who is the son of Ahithophel? Eliam. Now go to 2 Samuel chapter 11 and verse number 3. This is our last verse, and this is going to sum this up. 2 Samuel 11, verse 3. So we know that Eliam is the son of Ahithophel. 2 Samuel 11:3 says, and David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? So look here. Bathsheba is the daughter of Eliam. And who is the father of Eliam? Ahithophel. So Bathsheba is the granddaughter of Ahithophel. Why did Ahithophel want to get revenge on David? Why did he switch teams and support Absalom? Why did he want to kill David with his own hand? because David ruined the life of his granddaughter. David saw Bathsheba, inquired after the woman, brought her to him, took advantage of her, then killed her husband. They had a baby together, and God took the life of that baby after 1 week. So what did David do to Bathsheba? He took advantage of her, he killed her husband, and caused her to lose her week-old baby because of what he did in rebellion against God. And Ahithophel is her grandfather, and he's watching all this play out. And see, just as Ahithophel betrayed David, he did it because he felt betrayed by David. David sinned wickedly in his sin with Bathsheba. He sinned greatly. And he didn't just hurt Uriah. He didn't just hurt Bathsheba. He hurt everyone who loved that family. And when Absalom rose up against David, Ahithophel said, "This is my chance to get back at the king." Now here's the lesson we learn from Ahithophel. Bitterness doesn't better anyone. Bitterness doesn't solve our problems. Bitterness doesn't bring justice. Bitterness doesn't fix the problem. Bitterness only makes things worse. The thing that Ahithophel should have done was forgiven David, but he didn't. Instead, he tried to take his life. And so the lesson of Ahithophel is bitterness doesn't destroy the people we're bitter against. It ends up destroying us. Ahithophel was trying to kill David. Instead, he ended up killing himself. And that's what happens in the end. Bitterness destroys the vessel that contains it. And so, if you've got bitterness in your heart, learn from the story of Ahithophel and let that bitterness go. Give that pain to the Lord. Turn it over to Him and ask Him to take it away. And you forgive the people that have hurt you. All right, that was a pretty long one there, wasn't it? 27 minutes. Thanks so much for watching. God bless you. We'll be back here tomorrow with another lesser known person of the Bible. Have a wonderful day.